I'm Vicki Hogarth, and welcome to Southwest Magazine. My guests today are Don Walker and Jamie Waycott, who are here to tell us about the Greater St. Stephen Sports Wall of Fame. Thank you both for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Vicki.
Can we start off by talking about how the Sports Wall of Fame got started and when it all began? Who was behind it?
Well, I guess I'll lead that off. We had a call from Joe Peters in 2017, and Joe had been in Sackville, he tells me, and he had visited, I think, their Wall of Fame, and he very simply said, when he got back home, he said, why not St. Stephen? Why don't we have something like this? It's a very similar sized community. We had a brand new civic center. It would be very appropriate to have something in our community that was similar to Sackville, maybe even better. And that's how he got the ball rolling. And he talked to myself, he talked to Jamie, he talked to Mike O'Connell, which at the time was our rec director. We had a sort of a brainstorming session. We have such a rich history of sports in our community that it was a shame not to have something in place. And again, with the Civic Center, with his enthusiasm, with his initiative, we just said, yeah, this is right. The time is right for this to happen.
And this started back in 2017. Jamie, was it easy to get going? What were the challenges?
My experience is similar to Don's. Joe, it wasn't a phone call for me. I was actually at an Aces hockey game, and it was in 2016, late fall of 2016. Joe approached me at the hockey game. You got a minute? And I said, sure. And he shared the idea, and as Don said, he had noticed it in another community. Why don't we? And I said, no, that's a good question. Great idea. And he said, can we meet? And I said, no, I had just retired, so I was thinking I'd have some time on my hands to, give back to the community, and this might be one. And so 2016, we had our first induction in the spring of 2017. Yeah.
It's such an impressive thing to take in when you go into the Garcelon Civic Center and see that right in the grand entryway of the Garcelon. It is incredibly inspiring.
Well, that was one of the first, I think, discussions on where would we put it, where would the wall go, where in our community would we have that, and I think it was pretty quick and pretty easy to say, we got a beautiful facility here, let's celebrate it and the wall, and there was some space there that was underutilized and prominent space. So
I usually look forward to a phone call from Joe in the spring to tell us the date of when the induction will happen that year. It's news to me today that Joe's no longer with us. Yeah. He created a lasting impact on our community.
Yeah. Joey was our founder. If we have to name one person who was in charge of creating this concept and this Wall of Fame, it would be Joe. He's our founder, and we're fortunate, I guess to say, fortunate might not be the appropriate word at this time, but I mean, we're happy to be able to say that we're going to present Joe and his family, in his memory, a plaque that will go on our Wall of Fame. He will not go on as a builder or as an athlete or as a team, of course. He's going to go on the wall as our founder. And prior to Joe passing, we were able to tell him that we were going to do this and tell his family. And I'm going to say it was a very emotional moment for everyone involved to tell him that. He was so pleased. He was even part of the process of how it was going to look. He wanted to have a say in how he would be presented on the wall, and we're going to do that. And maybe I'll let Jamie also talk about one other thing that we created as a result of Joe's leadership, and I'll let Jamie take over with that.
Well, Don represented our group with visiting Joe and his family in the hospital to share with him what we would like to do. And Don has mentioned prominent space beside the wall, but also our committee has decided to go forward with a scholarship, which we hope will be an annual scholarship. And it will begin in the spring of this coming induction. 24th of May is our set date, and we're hoping to have the recipient join us that evening for the presentation. It's the Joe Peters Greater St. Stephen Sport Wall of Fame Scholarship in Joe's memory, and he was aware that we were going to do that as well. It's going to be a $2,000 scholarship this year. and we're hoping to raise half of that, and we have a business in our community that has come forward to say that they would contribute the other half. I don't know if we're able to say who that is.
Yeah, I think we could.
Our chair, Mike Horn, A.E. Horn, has agreed to chip in the other half of that scholarship. So, yeah, Joe was our founder, yeah. And it was that conversation that he had by phone and person. I assume the other committee members, he sought out some people he thought that would contribute and had time and were passionate about our community. And so, yeah, it's his fault that we're here.
Yeah. And ironically, the 24th of May is Joe's birthday.
Oh.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
and we didn't know that when we were picking the date of the event, but when we told him what we were doing and when it was going to be, he proudly lifted his head up and said, "That's my birthday."
Wow.
So,
You know, which highlights another important thing about this wall is that it recognizes people that are sometimes still with us. Don,
Yes.
you've been on the wall.
yes.
But it also recognizes people in the community that left a mark and were inspirations and can continue to be even after they're gone. Why do you think recognizing these people in our community in this special way that the wall recognizes them is so important? And I think sometimes in a small community that takes on an even greater role in terms of inspiration.
On the way down today, that you know, it's through sport that we're celebrating our community, and when you see that wall and the concept of it, it's about being proud of who we are and proud of where we're from, and celebrating some of our athletes and builders, people who have contributed to our community. And I was mentioning to Don on the drive down, the gentleman that I had never heard of, John Crocker, and we inducted him posthumously in our most recent induction ceremony, but a significant contributor to the Canadian Olympic movement, you know, back in the early 1900s, and here he is from little old St. Stephen. So it's about being proud of people like that and our past and our history, and yes, some of their sporting accolades, but not only that, but just pride in our community, and that wall speaks to that.
When you go into the induction ceremony too, with the night that you unveil the new additions to the wall, it's a full room at the Garcelon, so hundreds of people are there, so you can tell just how important this wall is to the community, just in terms of the number of people who come out to see it unveiled. What are the challenges in terms of being a part of the board in determining who are the choices year to year, and can you also, in that answer, break down the categories from coaches to athletes and who gets on the wall?
Well, there's three categories. There's a builder's category, so someone who works hard to see that the teams operate and support and so forth. There's the athlete, an individual athlete, and then there's teams. So there's three different groups and/or categories. From a challenging part, I mean, the challenges aren't that many because there is, we feel, great support within the community. But one of the challenges that we've addressed, and part of the reason that we're here today, I think, is getting the information out there. I hear often, and I know many around our table, our committee, you know, so and so, that team should be on there. How come so and so's not there? Well, there is a process to get there, and there has to be a nomination. So. Nomination forms are available hard copied at the Civic Center, just in the foyer as you go in on the left, and also off the St. Stephen, Greater St. Stephen municipality's website. There's a link there, so you could download. And as far as what the attributes are, or what the committee is looking for, I brought along one of our pamphlets, brochures, but the selection process. We look at the level and the significance of their achievements, their contributions in sport in the Greater St. Stephen community, and again, greater purposely. I mean, we had the softball girls from Lawrence Station.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not just St. Stephen, or what was the proper St. Stephen. The degree of difficulty encountered in the process of the accomplishment, persistence, dedication, contribution to the sport, and the personal qualities, the work ethic of the individual and/or the teams. And we sit as a group. There's 10 or 12? 12 of us. So
yeah,
we look at each based on that criteria, and we vet each one, and we have a vote on who this year will be inducted.
And to give people at home an idea, can they submit all year a nomination? And
yeah, our deadline and timing-wise is 10th of January this year, so that was part of the reason that
this was important to do it now.
This was important to do it now, is to get that out there. The 10th of January is the deadline this year, and we've streamlined the application process. Initially, it was quite lengthy and a ton of work, and it still is work because you need supporting documents and the like. But we've streamlined it, and it's a fairly user-friendly document now, and we can help fill in some blanks, where appropriate. So that's the process. Okay. Don, do you want to add to that?
No, I mean, when we started this, there were 11 of our Wall of Fame inductees that were also in the provincial Sports Hall of Fame. So it made sense to us that, well, it's kind of a lock that we have our first 11. I mean, if you're in the provincial Hall of Fame, it doesn't make sense not to be on our local Wall of Fame. So our first 11 were already inducted into the provincial Hall of Fame. So that was sort of an easy process, and that's what we did. We did 6 one year, and we did 6 the next, and that's 12, you'd say. Well, we had one that was a bit of a live candidate that we were able to go through the process of selecting. So that's sort of how it started. It's not rocket science to speak of. It's a bit of an easy process. The applications typically are very well done. It's not something that we would encourage people to pick up an application a week before the deadline. You're not going to get it done in time. Mm-hmm. It's the applications that are done well are the ones that are probably received the best in terms of giving us all kinds of supportive information to make that final judgment. Yeah.
What did it mean? I want to talk a little bit about the idea that people can nominate. We often think Sports Wall of Fame is going to be athletes, but for instance, I have one of the most legendary coaches and athlete too, but you're on the wall for being a coach, Don.
Yes.
And you have a pretty epic story of coming back to coaching recently and bringing the girls team at St. Stephen High School to the provincial championships for basketball. What did it mean, though, to be recognized by your community in that way and to find out that you yourself were nominated for such an honor?
Yeah. Well, to be on that wall with so many great coaches, great leaders, with other athletes, with other teams, to be on the same wall that they're on was humbling. Mm-hmm. And I was so proud to be in that wall. I mean, I realized how much I did, how hard I worked, the leadership that I tried to provide. I respected the process of coaching and leading. To be valued and recognized by such a large group of people. I mean, it took 11 or 12 people to make that recommendation and to actually give you that credit was special. And every time I walk by the wall and I see my picture and I see that right up, I can't help but smile. It was a very proud moment, and I'm still proud to look at that picture for sure.
And do you think it inspires others who might see themselves as potentially future coaches? I can tell you from personal experience, my basketball coach from high school is one of the most influential people in my life. Karen Slattery, I will always love you. But what does that mean, do you think, to people in the community to see not just athletes recognized, but those mentors that can play such a significant role in who they become as adults, not just as athletes, but as people?
Yeah. When I was given the recognition of that, I got so many messages, and sometimes you forget maybe the impact that you have on people until something like this comes along, when everyone wants to sort of chime in and send you a comment. And I can't tell you how many comments I received from people who were, proud that I got the recognition, but also relaying maybe what I had done for them. Mm-hmm. And it was a special moment, and I certainly think, if you provide good leadership and you respect the process, you respect the people you're working with, you're enthusiastic with what you do, I think that spills over into what other people, can see from you, and they want to be a part of what maybe you were doing for them. I have a neat story where one of the kids that just graduated last year is coaching in Fredericton. She's going to UNB, and she's coaching an under-12 girls basketball team and is having the time of her life. And the kids are responding so well to her, and those are things that just make you so happy as a coach. And I've had people tell me that certain things I've said or done have been life-changing for them. Mm-hmm. I mean, I mentioned Rod Cumberland, who you know as well, and I think he's in the process of writing a book. And well, Rod speaks highly of some of the things that I did. He even wrote me one time a 6-page letter saying the things that I did in his life turned his life around. And these are things you don't know sometimes. The things that you say or you do, they can be so impactful to somebody else.
And I should tell you that Rod Cumberland and his son Ben are coming in tomorrow because they won a championship. To show you how influential you are, you didn't know I was going to tell you this,
no,
but
I didn't.
They're coming in tomorrow because they competed internationally in lumberjack competition, and they have the trophies and medals to bring in tomorrow.
He's just, and so his whole family, they're just such classy people. And Rod, to say he's one of my favorites, I would be lying if I said he wasn't. He certainly would be one of my favorites, and a lifelong friend as well.
So we're looking at St. Stephen at a moment in time when you really do have an international spotlight in terms of sports when it comes to the world's oldest basketball court becoming this epicenter for tourism, for sports. But a wall like this in a small community can remind people of the power of sports in our day-to-day life. Why is it so important for both of you to see sports highlighted in this community level in the way that this wall reminds us of the power of sport in our own community to connect people and also raise people up to become the people they end up becoming?
Yeah, I think I alluded to it earlier. It's through sport that the wall came into existence, but it's through the sport and the builders and the athletes from our past and now present that I sense, and when we put that event on that night, Vicki, when I go home that night, it's a real good feel for our community that evening.
Real good event.
And we have people that are coming back home, and we mentioned coming down, kind of a reunion of sorts, especially for teams that played in years past or more recently. But it's a real good Greater St. Stephen feel about our community, about our facility, about where we've been, the physical wall. It's just a real nice evening.
And a special part of it too is usually you have a team from the community, a younger team, working the event as well, so they can
We've had Don's most recent girls basketball team help our new caterer, the Legion Auxiliary, who did a fine job last year and are back on board this year. Everybody knows about the Legion dinners in St. Stephen. Another good reason to attend. But it's a nice night out. But back to the wall, and you wonder about kids coming in, and are they inspired by? They're noticing it, and who's there, and this is important, and I come from an important place, and hopefully they feel that sense of pride, and we think it's important.
As you look ahead to what's next for the wall, what do you hope it evolves into over the years? And
we've had some discussions recently about how it could be more interactive in the use of technology. Mm-hmm. And I am certainly not someone to speak on all that's available out there, but it was presented to me in this way, or what I took from it. But it would be nice if at some point someone could come in and push that button and see a video of John Crocker or Don Walker and what they accomplished and how they contributed to our community, and maybe a message from those that that are living, and many of them on there are not. But so that type of thing moving forward, I guess would be something that I'd like to see. And,
a seed was planted with that conversation that we're having, and it was an exciting sort of concept to hear about that possibility exists, and it might take someone to sort of spearhead that. I'm not sure if we have that on our committee or if we subcontract that particular role, but I think it's possible. We've been told that there are grants available, that there's equipment available that could assist with this, and we think that's something that would help us evolve because, you know, as years go by, things do get forgotten, and this would be a great way to hold on to all these memories, to hold on to the accomplishments.
I think I'd be okay in mentioning where that came from. It was Scott Legg, who you would know well. Scott approached me, and at that time was Spartan TV, and we had him into one of our meetings as to speak to that, of what we envisioned, and Scott did such a great job with Spartan TV that he was pulled from the community by the province to spread what he was doing provincially. So we've lost Scott and his expertise, but we are certainly open to having that discussion with some others that may follow up.
When we look at the wall itself, it's quite breathtaking. I assume everyone from the community has seen it, but the etchings that go into creating the tributes to these mentors, coaches, athletes, how long does it take you to prepare every year?
Jeff McGinn is a godsend to our committee. I mean, Jeff lives here in St. Andrews, teaches at St. Stephen Middle School, and is on our board. Jeff does all of the artwork for the inductees, and it's from those sketches that he does that we then, and it was Joe Peters that would actually,
Joe was our contact with Smet Monuments.
The Smet Monuments, and they do the etching on the granite. So, but yes, it's very well done, very, very cool.
And planning the event itself, I mean, there's tributes throughout the night to all the people that are recognized, to planning the dinner. How long does it take you to organize such an event every year? When do you start?
We do a wrap-up meeting, a post-event meeting a week after our induction, and then we take a break over the summer, and then we go at it again. We've met twice this fall so far, and our next meeting 16th January to go over this year's nominees, and then we'll meet weekly as we get closer to the event, and to make sure we've got all our I's dotted and T's crossed. And it's a team effort. We've got a great working committee. We do. Everybody has a role.
And the beauty of it being successful, I think initially, which we recognize that it was, is that you simply try to build off that success. We've created a template, and we literally have a template that we use. We call it a working document that covers all the categories, and we assign people to each category, and and it's never a struggle also to take care of these details, because we have a committee of 12. We've only had one person drop off our committee in all the years that we've run it. And that was not because of anything other than family commitments. So people want to be involved with this committee. As Jamie said, it's a feel-good committee, a feel-good event. It runs smoothly. We're always critical of ourselves. I mean, outsiders looking in always tell us that it was a perfect event. They always say that it's the best event that they can think of that is held in the town of St. Stephen. So we know we're on the right track. We're always trying to improve. I think one of the slight things that we could maybe do a better job with, because you did ask, and that's getting the word out there about the application process. Some people still don't understand that it is an application. It's not us sitting back in a committee or in a room saying, well, we're going to appoint this person or that person. There's a complicated process. They have to fill out forms. It does require some work, but we might need to do a bit of a better job with that. We've talked about that quite regularly.
And also getting out there that it's not just about the team or the individual that won provincial or national titles. I mean, those are wonderful accomplishments, but it's also about the grassroots people in our community that maybe ran Little League for 20 or 30 years, or minor hockey for 20 years, or the refereeing association. It's those people also, the grassroots people that might not have been headlines in the paper, but really contributed to the community. I would really like to see some nominations for some of those people.
I'm sure there are plenty of people watching this right now, knowing in their mind perhaps it's an uncle who is an excellent coach, or a team they remember from the community that they feel should be recognized. What advice would you give people at home who know someone that they believe is fitting for a space on this wall when it comes to the nomination process? I know that forms can seem intimidating, but I'm sure if someone speaks from the heart, that would come through on their application.
we've had some fabulous applications. We've had people put in a tremendous amount of time and following the protocols that are outlined on the application itself. Get the application well in advance. Don't think that a week before January 10th is enough time to fill out a good application. So get it in advance. This is a bit surprising that you'd have to do this, but you have to make sure that the person you're thinking of wants to be nominated. We've had 2 in the past few years that we thought would be great nominations. They were discussed, they were talked about as potentially coming in as an application, and the person turned them down. They just, for whatever reason, did not want to be nominated. They did not want to be front and center. They preferred it be somebody else, and so that's part of the process as well, because you don't want to go ahead and do all kinds of work and then find out the person doesn't want to be nominated. So provide as much support as possible, whether or not it be letters of support, pictures that are in papers, references, impact statements. There's all kinds of things that we look at that determine if a person is qualified to be on that wall.
It's a remarkable night because it's past, present, and future all under one room, reminding you why being a part of a community like this is so powerful, so special. I hope you will both come back and sit down before May 24th so we can talk a little bit about what's in store this year. But I'm so happy to have you both in today to tell us about just the Wall of Fame in general and the application process. So hopefully we'll have lots of nominations this year.
It's a pleasure to be here, and we thank you for your support each year.
Yeah, we do appreciate your support.
CHCO is there and present.
And we'll be there again this year. Thank you both so much.
All right, thank you.
My guests today have been Don Walker and Jamie Waycott from the Greater St. Stephen Sports Wall of Fame. I'm Vicki Hogarth. Thank you for watching Southwest Magazine.
Southwest Magazine is a news and public affairs production of CHCO Television.